theyeshiva.net.
Okay, if you didn't take out your source sheets, take out your source sheets, page Kuf Ayin Aleph. And we will begin momentarily right now. Okay. So, Bruchim Haboyim to all who are joining us virtually. I guess everybody's joining us virtually this Friday morning. Erev Shabbos Vayikra, Beis Nissan Tofshin Pei, 2 Nissan 5780, March 27th, 2020. Today, Beis Nissan is the yartzeit, the Yom HaIlula of the Rebbe Rashab, whose Maamar we're learning during the last few days. And as it happens to be, it's not just any yartzeit, it's the 100th anniversary of his yartzeit, of his Ilula. He passed away on Beis Nissan, Tov Reish Pei. Matzah Shabbos Kodesh Vayikra, the second day of Nissan, the night of the second day of Nissan, in the year 1920. So this Beis Nissan 2020, Tov Pei, marks exactly a century of the Hilul, of the Istalkus, of this great spiritual master and teacher and giant, whose Maamar we're now learning. We've learned some of his past teachings in the past, via Daita. Last year we learned via Daita, Moskva. This Maamar is from the year Tofresh Ayin Beis, 1912, or in the Hebrew calendar would be 5672, which means 8 years before his passing. And he passed away in the city of Rostov on the Don River. And actually, I was supposed to be there today, and be there for Shabbos. I sent out an email. We got quite a few responses, but obviously, divine providence had different plans, not only for me, but for another 7.7 billion people living on this planet. So we're here. Ana Hashem ki ani avdecha. There is a diary of somebody who was present at his passing. His name was Reb Moshe Dov Ber Rifkin. Reb Moshe Dov Ber Rifkin came ultimately to America, and he was one of the Rosh Yeshivas of Torah V'das. Those who learned in Torah V'das in the 1950s or 60s or 70s, remember Rabbi Rifkin. He's the author of a sefer called Sharei Tzion. He was one of the masmichim, the rabbis who would give smicha in Torah V'das. And he was at the Ptira of the Rebbe Rashab. And fascinatingly and quite unusually, he wrote a whole sefer of what he saw. The sefer is called Ashkafta de Rebbe. Ashkafta de Rebbe is an expression from Masechta Ksuvas called Ashkafta de Rebbe, Ksuvas Kuv Gimel or Kuv Dalet, about the Histalkos, the passing of Rabbeinu HaKadosh, Rabbi Yehuda HaNasi. So Rabbi Rifkin, Reb Moshe Dov Ber Rifkin, Rebbe Rifkin they called him, he passed away in 1977, I think, or 76. He wrote a whole book called Ashkafta de Rebbe, a diary which he held from the last few weeks of the Rebbe Rashab's life, from his Purim Fabreng in 1920 in Rostov, the Maamar of Purim, and then the last few weeks, only 2 weeks till Beis Nissan, including the last minutes, the last hours. It's an incredible read, because it's rarely that you get such a personal and intimate account of the last few hours and days of a person of such stature. You know, how somebody returns their soul. I remember when I read it the first time, it was beyond emotional. There's one line I want to share with you. Rabbi Rifkin writes this, he was present, that moments before the Rebbe Rashab passed away, he was in bed, it was Matzah Shabbos, it was close to 4 o'clock in the morning. And he said these words. He looked at the people and he said these words. Ich gehe in Himmel und die Ksavim lass ich eich. I'm going to heaven, and the writings, the Ksavim, the writings, meaning the writings of Chassidus Chabad, of himself and his predecessors back to the Balatanya, I'm leaving to you. I'm leaving to you. Those are one of the last things he said. He said that a few minutes before his passing, he heard him speak about 2 levels of bittul and yichud elah, yichud tata. But I once heard myself from the Lubavitcher Rebbe, who asked a very simple question. And he said, my kamashmalon, anyone who goes to heaven, they leave their writings here. He said, ich gehe in Himmel und ksavim lazechaich. Obviously, what we accomplish here, what we write, anything we write, stays behind. The Rebbe said that what the Rebbe Rashab was trying to say was something much deeper. He said, I'm going to heaven, but I'm leaving you something which will allow you to have me forever. So it's not just I'm leaving you ksavim. Ich gehe in Himmel und ksavim lazechaich, and through that we shall remain, we shall remain eternally connected. Because a real tzaddik, a real Rebbe, puts his soul into his Torah. So when you're learning, you're not just learning words or ideas. There's also a deep, intimate communication with a neshama, with a soul of a true Rebbe who's completely one with the source of everything, with the source of infinity. So when we learn these ksavim, and we talk about them, and we have a shiur in them, and we learn them every morning, whether it's the Rebbe Rashab or the other Maamarim that we learn on a constant basis, it's not just words and ideas. He says, Ich gehe in Himmel und ksavim lazechaich. And through the ksavim, there's a very deep and dynamic and living connection. And it's not just anecdotal and cute and humorous, but it's authentic. Because the Gemara says, the Medrash says that tzaddikim are doimim l'boirim. They're like their creator. They're similar to their creator. And the Gemara says in Masechta Shabbos, Daf Kuf Daled, that the word Anoichi Hashem Elokecha, is an acronym, Ana, Nafshi, Ksavis, Yehavis. Anoichi. Ana, Nafshi, Ksavis, Yehavis. I have given and written my soul into Torah. My soul, my essence is transcribed, it's engraved in Torah. That's why it's the opening word of the 10 Commandments. So just like it's Kavayachal by Hashem about Torah, non nafshik savis yahavis, it's not just a book of laws or stories or history or mitzvahs or pilpul or lumdis. That's true. But it's much more than that. It's the divine itself. Like we learned in the Purim Maamar, that all of Torah is a mashal for a nimshal, and the nimshal is Chachmei La, but Chachmei La is a mashal for Ein Sof, if you remember that, very profound ideas. So the same is true in the writings of a tzaddik, a rebbe, and so forth. So let's look inside now. And we started to explore yesterday a very, very profound idea of the Rebbe. When you have a chance, you can go to the comments on yesterday's shiur. Some people wrote very interesting comments. I'm sure today there'll also be very interesting comments. And you can text your questions to 845-777-4747. Let's look inside. I want to repeat a few words, what we learned yesterday, and go a few lines further and try to explain a little bit. Page Kufay in Aleph, the line starts Shahu. It's around 10 lines from the top. Yeah. In one sentence, what did we learn? It's not going to be a long introduction. I want to say I promise, but I'll say Bli Neder. We focused on Nefesh, we focused on Ruach, and then we focused on Neshama. Nefesh is Evet Knaini. That's the Evet, Behefkeire Nichele. He wants Efkeres, but he's still an Evet. He shows up. The bottom line is he shows up to work. The reason he shows up to work is because there's an agreement. There's a conviction. There's a value. There's no inspiration. There's no enthusiasm. There's no feelings. I'm not interested. Which is why there could be failure and failure and failure again. Because there's so many voices in me that are not interested. I'm not engaged. But I still show up. And he explains there's conviction, there's an inner value, there's a superconscious called makifim of chaya yechida that guide a person. And in Evet Knaini itself, the spectrum is huge, from a very base level to a very lofty level. Reb Gamliel says, my Tavi, my Tayere Tavi Avdi, he's not like a regular Evet Knaini. He's a kosher Evet. He's something special. In the Jew itself, you have an Evet Knaini from one extreme to another extreme. You have Evet Ivri. Evet Ivri is Ruach. Evet Ivri is, the Evet is as an Ivri. There's passion, there's enthusiasm. Every day by davening, there's a very deep connection. If you want to use the word, there's a romance, there's an affection, there's an exciting relationship. And when you're in that moment, you think it's going to last forever because it's really there. It's not fake. It's not delusional. It's really there. But he says, but there's no real transformation. There's inspiration, but not transformation. So we have commitment, Evet Knaini. Inspiration, Evet Ivri. But a few hours later, the bear wakes up from hibernation. The animal soul, in all of its insecurities and all of its beastliness, emerges. I'm laughing because I don't know if you ever saw a video of how a bear comes out of hibernation. It's like, Vayava, it is da. He emerges. The bear is here. And watch out. So yeah, there's moments of inspiration. My animal, my little bear or my puppy, I don't know what type of nefesh Bahamas you have. The Rebbe Rashab has a maimis. Everyone has a different animal soul. Some people have, he calls it, some people are like sheep, some people are like goats, and some people are like bulls. You could be a kev, that's why there's karbonis. You can have a sheep and a goat and an ox, a bull. This week's parsha. Why? Because everyone has a different nefesh Bahamas. This one is a bull, an ox. And this one is a goat, stubborn. And this one is a sheep. You know what a sheep is? A sheep is a shephala. And goats are stubborn. So there's different types. It emerges. And when it emerges, suddenly you realized you subdued it, you weakened it. But there was no transformation. Then there is the third level. We'll see the third level is associated with a female servant, an Amma Ivriya. And there, it's not just commitment, it's not just inspiration, it's transformation. Now, let's see inside. Okay. For this, you need neshama. Those who weren't here, I'm gonna suggest that you hear the previous shiurim. It's a very, very rich Maamar. But this was the point that we learned. And Ruach, you also need his beinunus, but it's brief. And the Neshama here, he says you have to understand Hishtalshalus and understand the Lakus and understand every world and understand how it works and what it works and all the details. And you have to understand it in an internalized way and with all the nuance. And he finishes, he says, that way the Eira Laki is made of Pnimius. He's a Keli, Vaideza Mashana is Tiva. He said, Va'atamhu, line is Shahu. We learned a few lines, but I want to repeat. Va'atamhu lefi sham midas afilu shal nefesh alakis einam kelim lelakus. The midas, even of the nefesh alakis, are not kelim for elakus. They're not vessels for godliness. Shocking words. Shocking words. If you've been learning with us for a while, you should know that these words are shocking. To say the midas of the nefesh alakis are not kelim for elakus. Lefi shemidas hem chutz lo ha'etzah. Shemidas hem ispilus. V'chal ispilus chutz la'etzah. Midas, it's not because they're not good midas. They're divine midas. But by definition, they remain outside of the core, of the essence. Why? Because they are his spilus. V'chol is spilus chutz la'etzah. T'ksho bis achdus eine shayach az l'spilus kiyim davka ksho chutz la'etzah. In oneness, there's no hispilus. Only when you're outside of that, there's hispilus. So if I'm outside of the etzem, by definition, I can't become a real vessel for the divine light. Mashenkin moichin bebchinas is achdus. The bechlal moichin bebchinas dveikas vis achdus. Not like midas. So I feel the bebchinas is spilus sichli. even the intellectual excitement, not the emotional excitement. Emotional excitement is that I'm excited about it. It's relevant. Despite l'sichli, as I'm excited about the idea, he says, Gam kin eine b'bchinas es pilus, shebechlal moichin en b'chinas es achdus. The definition of moichin is oneness. So me'achar shu b'bchinas es achdus, me'meile muven shu kli loyin en sof me'achar shu b'bchinas es achdus. When you're one with Ein Sof, you could become open. You could be a keli for it. Va'ideza meshana es tivoy legamri. And this creates transformation. Mashenkin b'midis einay meshana es tivoy ki'im rak mashapoyel abitul v'kviyah b'nefesh hamachos. When there's midis, it's gewaldig. I subdued my animal soul. I silenced it. I was mevatel it. It created a certain surrender of the animal soul, but not a real metamorphosis. And because the person has not transformed himself, so therefore ultimately, unholiness, the animal soul can hold on to it because it's not transformed. There's an achiza. You're leaving room for outer forces, unwholesome forces to latch on. Okay? Achiza is, you know what an achiza? Achiza means to hold on, right? To hold on to something. A virus can't replicate itself if it doesn't attach itself to a host cell. But cells don't allow invaders to come in. The cells are very sensitive. You know how many viruses and bacteria try to come into our body? The cells don't let in. There's a lot of defenses. But what does the virus do? It appears as a friend. It appears as a friend, a brilliant device, and the soul opens up the door and it comes in. Once it comes in, it hijacks the cell and it uses its mechanism to replicate itself. That's called an achiza. There's an opening for other forces to come in midis, not in moichin. This is the meaning of the pasuk in Mishlei. Lo yach boitz ksil bitvuna kiyim beis galus libay. Now, you have to hear this interpretation because it's astounding. The pasuk says, a fool doesn't want tvuna. He wants his galus libay. What does this literally mean? A fool doesn't want wisdom. A fool wants, like, impulsiveness. You know, my heart should just, whatever my heart wants, I'm impetuous, I'm impulsive. Some of the Mefarshim say, a fool doesn't want to learn. He just wants to express himself, wants to talk all the time, or just wants to say what's on his heart instead of silence and learning. Here, the Rebbe gives an outstanding interpretation. His galus liba is though ava v'yira shebis galus halev. His galus liba here is something very profound. It's the love and the awe that is revealed in your heart. Inspiration, enthusiasm. Shebazeh shayich achiza. That's what the ksil, that's what the nefesh habahamis wants. He wants ava v'yira. Mashenkin bitvuna, sho afilu midas shebemoichin gamal za amalei achbetz ksil. The ksil, the nefesh habahamis doesn't want tvuna. He doesn't want moichin. He wants midas. Because over there, he can't latch on. The host cell won't let him in. In midis, he can chapzechan, he can find an entrance into it, not in moichin. The ksil doesn't want tvuna. He wants ava v'yira, his galus liba. Now, I hope this is clearly understood, but I just want to clarify it. When we speak these words, he's not being mavatal ava v'yira. He's talking about avas Hashem and yiras Hashem. These are the midas of the nefesh elokis. The first part of the Maamar was about nefesh, then was about ruach. These are extraordinary qualities, and we don't have to fool ourselves. You know, if I could internalize a little bit of the Evet Knaini in my life, it's nicht gefährlich. If I could be for one day an Evet Knaini, it's not bad at all. But an Evet Knaini there's a loyalty there. There's a commitment there. Yes, there is disassociation, there's anger, there's resentment, there's falling prey in action or words or thoughts. Okay, That's called a human being. We make mistakes and we bounce back. So it's very important that the yesod of all these Maimonim is complete honesty, not to suddenly deceive myself. Oh, now I'm an Amo Ivriya, now I'm an Eved Ivri. But to really have honesty in your Avodas Hashem and in life, you have to appreciate what everything is and what it's not. As he said earlier in the Maamar, and I'm going to repeat it here, that when you're in a particular level, you're not supposed to want a higher level. Because if you want it too much, you can't be present where you are. In other words, when I start, and sometimes we have this temptation to be where we don't want to be because I want to have everything. I want to have the higher consciousness. So it's very important to know where you are. Because only when you know where you are can you actually evolve. If I don't know where I am, so then I deceive myself. I'm dishonest. Only when I know where I am can I have a genuine relationship with where I am, and then ultimately learn and gain awareness from yet a deeper state of consciousness, and perhaps organically and seamlessly be able to connect to that on some level. But it's only with the prerequisite of never deluding yourself or fooling yourself where you are. So Eved Knaini is very, very powerful. Eved Ivri is mamish HaGevald. It's mamish, it's awesome. But here, it looks like he's mevatel Eved Ivri. But it's not mevatel. It's not mevatel like judging, oh, it's nothing. It's just defining the condition of human existence and its relationship with infinity. And here we learn about the infinite gradations from Eved Knaini to Eved Ivri to the next level. It's very important to qualify because he says, oh, the Yetzer Hara wants Ava V'yira, The Yetzer Hara wants you to love God and fear God. Is that such a terrible thing? No, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And of course, in the level that is beyond Eved Ivri, there's also Avas Hashem V'yiras Hashem. Avas Hashem is a mitzvah. The point is, it's not about Ava. It's not about Yira. There is a lot of passion, but it's not about the passion. Now, what does all of this mean? What does this mean? If anybody wants to explain what this means, you're welcome to explain. Is there anybody who wants to explain? Please, if you want to speak, Reb Nuchin can unmute you, or if you want to text, you can also text. If not, you're going to have to listen to my speech. So it's a choice you're going to have to make now. What does it mean, these words, key words? Midis hem chutz la'etzem. Shemidis hem espilus. V'chol espilus es chutz la'etzem. The kshehu bis achdus eine shayach az lehispilus. What does this mean? We usually associate moichin with detachment and midis with attachment. Right? You'll say, this guy is a professor. He's cerebral. He's out for lunch. Yeah. Spouses will often complain about their second half, their partner. I don't feel his emotion. I don't feel the empathy. I don't feel the imay anaychi b'tzara. He's a scholar. He's smart. He knows all the information. Right? There's that old anecdote. Are computers masculine or feminine? And the answer is they're masculine because they retain enormous amounts of data and yet they remain clueless. So a computer has a lot of data. So I have tremendous data. I know and I know and I learn and I learn. But where am I? I'm nowhere to be seen. Midis means I'm emotional. I care. I love. I'm in awe. I fear. But I'm emotional. There's a beating heart. When we speak about emotions, right? We go, my emotions, ich feel, my heart. It's all in the brain is the source of everything. But it means that it's, my blood is being pumped in a different way. It's felt in a very real way. So Midas is actually personalization. We spoke before about the Bechein. What's the Bechein? The Bechein is relevance. What's relevance? Relevance means it's applicable to life. If it's applicable to life, I can get emotional about it. If it's just academic brilliance, it's abstract. Right? People will often complain that they learn Gemara for many years, but they don't find it relevant. It's not inspiring. They're learning about this law and this halach, and it's an interesting pilpul, and it's a lumdus. But what does it have to do with me? Midlist is all has to do with me. So intuitively, if I would ask somebody, what's a deeper place of avodas Hashem, moichin or midlist? And the answer should, of course, be midlist. Of course, midlist. Midlist means you're enthusiastic. You're alive. You're inspired. Moichin means you understand, but you could still be cold. You could be very, very cold. And that's 100% true what I said. But that's one perspective. Here, he's addressing yet a deeper perspective, and the two are completely not contradictory. It's just, you have to appreciate, there is midis and there is moichin. And on one level, midis is so much more powerful and important than moichin because it makes it alive. And yet, here he's introducing us to a deeper state of consciousness where it actually works the other way around. And for this, we have to understand the moichin he's talking about and the midlist he's talking about. Now, as I told you yesterday, if you're going to understand this right away, that's not a good thing. Meaning, I'm going to say what I'm going to say. If your instinctive response is, what is this guy talking about? Good. Good. If your temptation is to argue, good. If you just feel it's like, I don't know what you want, good. Good. In other words, the more confusion, the better. You'll forgive me. The less confusion, the worse. And what I mean by that is, he's trying to change a paradigm here. Whenever you change a paradigm, if there's no resistance, it's like if somebody comes into a therapist's office, the worst thing that can happen is that everything the therapist says, you agree. Yeah. That's the problem. Stop agreeing. I'm not touching you. If you agree, it means basically you're not getting it. It's superficial. It's the resistance that means that there's a point of contact. And I'm giving this introduction precisely because it's important to understand the chiddush. It's important to understand the paradigm shift. What does it mean? Midus hem chutz la'etzem, shemidus hem espilus, v'chol espilus chutz la'etzem. When there's achtus eine shayach l'espilus. The Havana is this. Midis are very powerful. Emotional connection is where relationships are at. You love yourself, you love your father, you love your mother, you love your spouse, you love your children, you love your family, you love your close friends, you love your community. Emotions are where relationships happen. Emotions. And not just in the human realm, lahavdil in the animal world as well. There's deep, today we know with all the studies, it seems like there's deep emotion in an animal, no question. And certainly from a Chassidus perspective, the Nefesh HaBahamis is full of emotion. Yeah. And the Nefesh HaLekis is full of emotion. And the Nefesh HaLekis is a Chelek Elekam Imal. It's godly. So the emotions of the Nefesh HaLekis are divine. How can the Rebbe say, Shahamidis, afilu shal nefesh alikis, einam kelim lalakus? What words? The midis, I understand if you tell me the midis of the nefesh abahamis are not kelim for alikus. I got it. The midis of the nefesh abahamis, I'm in a primitive animal consciousness. Got it. I'm in love with steak or milkshakes or my ego or my insecurities. Fine, I understand. But the middas of the nefesh elikis are not kelim lelakus. And who's saying this? These are the teachings that teach what a nefesh elikis is. We learned many times. You remember the beginning of the Maamar? Neshama shenasata bi tahirihi. A nefesh elikis. You know what a nefesh elikis is? A nefesh elikis is the infinity in you. It's the godliness in you. It's the divinity in you. The middas of the nefesh elikis are not kelim for elikus. What words? I'm going to say a l'chaim on coffee that God should help, that what I say now I should be a conduit for at least a little bit of the truth he's trying to convey. Yes, middos are very, very powerful. Middos are emotions. But let's remember one thing about middos. One thing. What is the underlying core of middos? The underlying core of middos, and that's what gives it its power. What gives it its power, the underlying core of middos is one word. And that word consists of one letter. And that letter is I, capital I. I feel. I feel. Every middah is that paradigm. The software of the middah may change, but not the hardware. Those of you who know about computer programming, which I don't know, but I'll still give a metaphor. No, the software can change. But then there's going into the hard drive. And then there's going into the chip. The hard drive of every middah and the chip of every middah is what? Let's go talk about cells. The nucleus. The nucleus, a cell has a lot going on in it. It's a whole universe. But the nucleus, the brain, the core of it is what? I know today we text, love you, thinking of you, but love you is not a sentence in English. You would fail your English exam. Love you must have an I. What love you? What I love you. And it's not just about English grammar and diction. It's about the concept. What's the definition of a middah? It's appealing to me. It's relevant to me. That's the beauty of it. I am excited about it. I love you. I hate you. I don't mean you. I'm in love. I'm overwhelmed. I'm overtaken. I'm emotional. I'm excited. I'm nervous. Even I'm anxious. But I'm feeling. There's some truth that my system is responding to. And because my system is responding to, I'm getting excited about it. Either I'm gravitating to you or I'm recoiling from you. Either there's connection or there's disconnection. Either there's attachment or there's detachment. But celebedik, sefreilich, because the basis of all middos is one word, I. That's what it's about. It's ultimately how truth is mitigated to accommodate the I. All middos. It could be truth. That's the nefesh elokis. The nefesh elokis' middos are coming from truth. They're not coming from blindness, from bias, from trauma, from toxicity, from insecurity, from selfishness, from narcissism. They're coming from the connection to the divine. It's the nefesh elokis. Emes. The middah is coming from truth, from elokus. But you're not a keli for elokus. Why you're not a keli for elokus? Because what's the nekuda? What's the essence? What's the core? What's the nucleus? What's the hard drive of every middah? The hard drive of every middah is how truth is mitigated to accommodate my emotions, my experiences, my sensibilities. That's why I'm excited about it. I will never become excited about something that I don't relate to. Could I? How could you get excited about something that you don't relate to? You can't. I need it to relate to me, so I should be able to get excited about it. That's why he says, middos are always chutz la'etzem. Because middos are his spilus, and all his spilus is chutz la'etzem. What does it mean, middos are his spilus? Middos is how I am moved by it. And that's what I'm excited about. I'm excited because I'm moved by it. And that because I'm moved by it, it means that I have not touched the core. What am I? Where am I? I'm trying to experience it. I'm trying to experience it in a way that it's relatable to me. And without that, you can't have a middah. That's the beauty of middos. The beauty of middos is, ubechein, it's relevant to my life. My body, my sensations, my emotions are responding. I'm on fire in one way or another. Kol his spilus is chutz la'etzem. Why? What's pshat his spilus? His spilus is, I am moved by you. So it's the way the you reaches me and redefines me. By definition, hispailos denotes distance. Emotional closeness denotes emotional distance. Because what's making me emotionally close is that it's the way the etzem, whatever it is, the idea, the truth, the person, is filtered through the prism of my experience to be able to appeal to my identity and have me emotionally involved in this experience. It's beautiful, it's amazing, but it's chutz la'etzem. I have not touched the core, I've not touched the emes. The emes touched me, but that means I did not touch it. In science today we know, and a very good metaphor for this is how light works. We don't see anything. We say this is red, this is blue, this is green. But no. This is not red, and it's not blue, and it's not green. It's basically the object gives off what's called electromagnetic waves, frequencies of light that can be absorbed by my retina, by my eye. My eye's chemistry can relate to certain frequencies of light that are coming from that object, and my brain interprets it as red or green and blue. Now, as long as 7 billion people interpret it the same way, it's not a problem because it's considered red. But this is not a description of the etzem. It's a description of how I process it through my kalim, through my perception. And that's what midlis are. All midlis is my processing of the idea in a way that it actually speaks to me, it excites me. The more hispailos, the more outside of the etzem I am. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? That's really what excitement means.
I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Isn't ultimately what we want is closeness and relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu? We cannot get more than that. We cannot become, in essence, one with Him, because He is, and maybe even if He lives through us and has that nefesh and neshama that is pure Him, but still, ultimately, what we want is a relationship. Ultimately, we want is, in a way, emotions of being in a relationship.
Right.
So this intellectual pursuit, in a way, even if we comprehend it more, and looks like Moichin is the ultimate truth, but that ultimate truth should bring us to that relationship, to that closeness. We cannot ask for more. In essence, what I'm asking, what's wrong with being in a state of emotional love and awe? Isn't it ultimately what we can reach?
Right. So, somebody texted me, try to experience this rather than understand it. Very well. Somebody wrote, Reb Moshe, emotions, even the highest and most exquisite, are necessary to motivate the person, but are external to the essence and to Moichin. After such inspiration by external middas, one can internalize the Moichin intellect to absorb the truth and transform oneself. I have observed hundreds of Balei Tshuva, those who last go step by step with a solid foundation, then building up. Those who go for the black hat right away fail easily. I didn't understand the connection. Is neshama the level of a tzaddik? Okay. Thank you for all the texts and all the comments. Now, somebody just wrote, the truest way to describe red is to call it 3.7 megahertz. Very good, 3.7 megahertz. Precisely because the essence of the middas is the eye, it's why it took the ultimate humble person without an eye to receive the intellectual essence of emes, the Torah, to the moichin to be fully transformative. Yet wasn't Hashem acting on his midlist by desiring a dir b'tachtonim? I'm not sure I get the point you're making exactly. Please dumb it down for Hungarians. Please, no racism here. I guess you're talking, I don't know if you're talking about, my grandma used to say, halt sich nicht azay klein, bis nicht azay groß. Real truth, once realized intellectually, encompasses both the intellectual realization and the passion emotions. Both are vital for the relationship. Reb Mendel Futterman has to say that English is a grubber sprach, because whenever you spell the letter I, it's always capital. Okay, very good ha'adas. Very good ha'adas. We're talking about a relationship at Avram. But we're talking about two types of relationships. There's a relationship where I remain outside, and there's a relationship where there's complete oneness. And this is the difference between Ruach and Neshama, or the difference between Midlist and Moichin. Why? I really don't understand what you're saying, but I know in my heart that it sounds and feels good. Okay? I live somewhat of what the rabbi is saying here and there. There's some understanding. I'm hoping to stick around long enough that something will stick. My whole life is an Evet Knaini. Maybe, at best. How do we break it down to start and change and perhaps more Evet Ivri and so forth? Is there a way to break it down like Reb Chanina's Gana Kayana? Can I experience an awareness that my I is part of rather than an awareness that is part of the I? Is this what you're saying? Try to experience this rather than understand it. Experience an awareness that my I is part of rather than an awareness that is part of my I. Whoever said this, very well put. Why can't we ask for more? We can get closer and closer. We're part of Hashem. Yeah, that's why we're asking for more. But you always have to be honest where you are. Maybe let me give a mashal that it's maybe not a perfect mashal, but I think it can help us understand the Nakuda. Again, it's really deeper than the mashal, but I think there's something to be said about it. They tell a story. It's a mashal I heard many years ago from Rabbi Yoel Khan, actually, with a whole story, but I'll just tell you the point. There was a poor man who was invited to a rich man's house for a dinner. He hasn't had a meal in a long time, never mind a good meal. He comes in and he sits down. And first he starts commenting on the comfort of the chairs, like, wow, wow, wow. Then he looks at the cutlery. He starts clicking the cutlery and looking at it. Wow, wow. He looks at the plates and he marvels. Every course that was delivered, he was mully his spilus, emotional, ecstatic, excited. The wealthy person was very quiet, just eating, very quiet, politely, serene. So somebody in the kitchen says, finally, somebody appreciates our food. This guy doesn't start complimenting it. So his friend said, no. This is new for him, so he's excited about it. For the wealthy person, this is who he is. He's not excited about it. For the poor person, he's chutz laha'etzem. He's distant from it. So he's excited. There's his spilus. Yeah. For the rich person, he so takes it for granted. It's so much part of his system. He's not excited, not because he doesn't care, because he's so connected, he doesn't even get excited. And I'll prove it to you. He says, tomorrow, take away the food from him, and you'll see if he gets excited. They don't give him the regular food, and he's up in arms. He's furious. He's angry. So the chef tells the other guy, he says, yesterday he seemed so apathetic and indifferent. He was not. He was just so much part of him that he wasn't excited. Not because he wasn't excited, because the excitement was completely one with him. Today you take it away from him, and you see how angry he is. With the poor man, it's the other way around. Yesterday he was so excited, today he doesn't have it. No, it's back to the same situation. Why am I saying this mashal? Why am I saying this mashal? I'm just going to read what somebody just wrote here. Why is Moichin considered a keli for etzem? Isn't it also a limited medium, albeit less limited and less self-oriented than Midas? The ultimate response to the Bavram, the ultimate is not a relationship on my terms only, but to lose myself completely, to lose the I in the essence of God. A relationship exists between two disparate entities, but the ultimate is to merge into one. I understand why Midas is really remote, because it's ultimately I, and at the end it's dangerous, because there's no real transformation, and I could get confused between good and bad. That's why the Ksil wants his Galus Libay. In the Bittel of Midas, I touch the Etzem, and this is something that people are very, very afraid to experience and to understand and to feel. They don't want to surrender. Maybe the level which is higher is to be a Merkava like the Avis, where you're one. Can you explain this concept between a husband and a wife relationship, between Moichin-based relationship versus Midas-based relationship? Shaul from Merrick, New York. Okay, you want me to get back into marriage? Let's try to summarize all of this, at least bekitzer. We don't have much time, but just very bekitzer, try to summarize all of this, what the point is. Midas versus Moichin. Ask not what God can do for you. Ask what you can do for truth. Ask not what truth means for you. Ask what you mean for truth. Ask not what your wife can do for you. Ask what you can do for your wife. Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. Ask not how I remain the center and everything now needs to be filtered to appeal to me. You could ask that, but you always remain in a very confined orbit, and your relationship is very limited, and you're not ready for any real transformation. So when you're in a good mood, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. You're inspired. But why are you inspired? You're inspired because God works for you. That's what you're inspired. It works for you. It works for my system. Gewaldig. And now a few hours later, my animal soul wakes up and suddenly the system is in a different place. So the midas are changed. And it's very easy to fluctuate from one place to another place. Why? Because the basis ultimately was asking how you can be here for me, which in a certain state in life is very, very important, because I am I, and I need to be able to feel that you mean something for me, and you enhance me, and you appeal to me, and that's why midas are so, so important. But they're never a state of oneness, of isachdus. On the contrary, I remain an outsider. And because I remain an outsider, that's why I cherish my excitement. I'm excited because you have reached me. And because you have reached me, I'm excited about it, because my system is now on fire. What's missing here? What's missing here is one major element in the relationship. And I'm going to go back to that word, etzem, bittel, his achdus, the real oneness, the real relationship with truth that transcends me. I'll never be a keli for elikus if I remain in the realm of midas. There was a debate about this. I don't know how familiar you are, but it's a fascinating piece of history. The Baal HaTanya passed away. He had a chassid whose name was Reb Aaron Halevi Horowitz, Reb Aaron Strasheller. He became a Rebbe. The Baal HaTanya had a son, the Midlist Rebbe, who became the second Rebbe of Chabad. there was a split. A lot of Hasidim went to Reb Aaron Halevi of Strashel, who was a very big man. He passed away in the middle of davening, Shmini Atzeres. His son took over, then his son passed away shortly after, and the dynasty dissolved. Reb Aaron Halevi of Strashela and the Mittler Rebbe had a very big debate. Reb Aaron Halevi of Strashela writes that the main thing in Yiddishkeit is his spilus. Emotions. You looked at him davening, he would dance and jump and scream and make with his hand. And he was actually a holy Jew. He wasn't fake. I'm not talking about a fake shtick. And the Mittler Rebbe used to say, Lo yachboitz ksil betvuna kiyim beizgalos liba. The Nefesh HaBahamis loves all these emotions. And he held that emotions are beautiful, but there's a certain fakeness in them. And when it comes to Elikus, it becomes very delusional. Even, and not because the person may be holy. The person may actually be holy. But as he says, there's an achiza. A lot of dishonesty could come from it. Even if not by the person himself, but by other people or at a later stage in the person's life. Why? Because the paradigm of emotions is God. I need you to accommodate me. I need you to speak to my heart. Do whatever it takes, but just get me excited. Lord, get me high. Lord, get me high. What's the problem with that statement that was said by somebody? What's the problem with this? What do you feel when you hear this? Lord, get me high. Huh? The answer is klipa. There's something very profoundly missing here. I don't want to be a keli for a lakus. I want a lakus to be a keli for me. I want to use God. I want to use truth. I need to live an inspired life. God, can you help me? Oh, great. You helped me. The Mittler Rebbe said, learn Chassidus. Understand. Not in a way of understanding where you're a detached robot. No. Moichin is bittul. Moichin is isachdos. Moichin is ask not how the Lord can get you high. Ask what's the truth of Elikus. Understand what is Elikus, what is Ein Sof. Of course, as much as I can. As much as I can. In Moichin, I'm searching for one thing, for the emes, for the pnimius, for the atzmius. And that's why real Moichin, he said, I'm not the bechein. It's ask not how it relates to me. I'm asking another question. How do I relate to it? Or even deeper, I'm not even asking about me. I'm trying to strip myself from the I and touch the core of the idea. And as he said earlier, when you touch the core, it's not an idea anymore. It's not an idea. Midlist, the idea, has to come down into relevance. And in real Moichin, I'm looking for that which is even beyond the idea. I don't even want the idea. It's true, Moichin without Midlist, is something fundamentally wrong because we come back to a place of emotion. We come back. But it's not that we don't want Midlist. We don't want it should be about Midlist. You understand the difference? We want Midlist. Of course we want Midlist. Without Midlist, you have a computer. Computer knows much more than I. Google knows much more. You want Midlist, but you want the Midlist should be a chelik of the Moichin. It's not about the Midlist. Of course there's Ava V'yira. The Ava V'yira in Moichin is much deeper. It's an Ava V'yira of Etzem. It's not an Ava V'yira of Hispilus. It's an Ava V'yira of oneness. It's not an Ava V'yira of my experience of you. What did this person write before? What did this person write? Somebody had a very good expression. It's the awareness that my eye Can I experience an awareness that my I is part of it rather than an awareness that is part of my I? In Midlist, the paradigm is my I. That's it. Every awareness has to be part of it. You work for it, great. What am I looking for? I'm looking for chitzonius. I'm not looking for etzem. I'm looking for chitzonius. I need to be inspired. Give me good information. So this one likes a niggin, this one likes a story, this one likes a joke, this one likes a vertel. You know what I'm looking? I'm looking for a good vart by Shalashudas so I can get excited. Why did the Alter Rebbe dedicate hundreds, thousands of Maamarim with long explanations of Ishtalshalus and the world and Ein Sof? Why? He wasn't trying to give information, because that's where real transformation happens. Real transformation happens over there. You know why real transformation happens over there? Because that's where this transcendence. That's where my I can go to a place that is beyond that, and therefore even my animal soul becomes deeply, deeply affected. How does transformation in life happen? Anybody knows? Transformation doesn't happen through emotion. Emotion is the beginning. Transformation happens through awareness that takes me out of my orbit, opens me up to another reality. And that moment, I'm a different person. Now I have to assimilate it back into my emotions, into my life, into my behavior. You can have a person sitting with you, and they're very emotional. They're crying or they're happy, and they're very, very emotional, but they're completely confined in their own orbit. Why? And they're not even ready to go out of it. Why? Because I'm completely defining the truth based on my feelings, and I'm very, very emotional. Where does transformation happen? All transformation happens when you can actually not become distant, not remain distant, chutz la'etzem, which will never allow you to be a keli for Ein Sof, because it's always about my experience of it, but rather where I must surrender to the truth rather than the truth surrendering to me. And in that truth, there can be rebirth. I transcended the I. When you go out of the system of I, you can recreate and recalibrate that system. When I'm inside of it, I'm just stuck in my confinedness, where I always remain outside of the etzem. There's no hisachdus. In real moichin, there's hisachdus. What's pshat is hisachdus? It's like I go into the mikveh. I'm completely submerged. You don't even see me. In Midlist, all you see is me. All I see is me. In moichin, I don't see me. And because I don't see me, the me can actually go through a rebirth. Or to put it differently, in Midlist, I want to find myself in God. In moichin, I want to lose myself in God. In moichin, it's not even I want to lose myself in God. I'm ready to lose myself in God. How many of you asked me to bring this down in Hungarian words. I don't know exactly what you mean, but how many of us are always looking to find ourselves? I want to find myself in God. I want to find myself in Yiddishkeit. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. We love it. But what does that have to do with MS? What does that have to do with MS? It's all me, 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 me. Even the Nefesh Elikis is excited about God. He says, you're not a Keli for Elikus. To be a Keli for Elikus is Ein Oid Mulvadai. To be a Keli for Elikus means you have to be Teufus infinity. And the very definition of Midlist defies infinity, because Midlist is the way infinity speaks to my condition and my situation today. It's beautiful, but you're not a Keli for Elikus, even the Midlist of the Nefesh Elikis. And that's why the Ksil loves his Galus Liboy. He loves the love and the passion, the love and the passion. We get excited about passion. So the Rebbe says, I know we get excited about passion, but I want you to know who else gets excited about passion. The Nefesh HaBahamas gets excited about passion. You know why he gets excited about passion? Now, we're talking about deep stuff here. Meaning, most lectures you'll hear about Judaism, everyone is complaining there's no passion. Nobody davens with passion. Nobody's a Jew with passion. Everything is robotic. Right? We all want passion. Go to any Shabbaton, any lecture, what is it called? Project Inspire, this project, that project, to get inspired. Passion. And that's true, because passion relative to lack of passion is the difference from east to west. But here we're touching a much deeper nakuda. And that is, yes, passion is amazing, and passion is awesome, and passion is beautiful. But passion is always based on one thing. And that is, I have to find myself in you. I need to find me in you. In other words, if you can't become me, if you can't accommodate me, I am out of the picture. So it's great. It's a great level of Avodas Hashem. It's a beautiful level of Avodas Hashem. But he says, that's the Avidivity. But what? I'm in a state of Ispilus, and every state of Ispilus means that I'm outside of the Etzem. I'm not touching the Etzem. Why? Because if I would touch the Etzem, the I can't be present. Because if the I is present, I'm not touching the Etzem. I'm touching the Etzem the way it affects me and appeals to me and speaks to me, which is always filtered, compressed, mitigated, compromised, diluted. So what I'm calling passion, the Rebbe says, I know you're very, very passionate, and it's amazing, and it's incredible. I just want you to know that the animal soul can have a very, very easy access there. There's very, very easy access there. Why? Because at the core of Midlist is Yeshus. At the core of Midlist is that I have to remain outside. I'm not ready to become one. I'm not ready to melt away in infinity. Now, when I melt away in infinity, there is love, and there's awe, and there's passion, and there's emotion. Much more. But it's not about emotion. It's not about passion. My emotions and passions are not the barometer of the relationship. The barometer of the relationship is ask not how you can make me emotional. Rather, it's me becoming part of the ultimate truth, not the ultimate truth being reduced to my sensibilities, to the Bechein. So b'meila. Now, we usually don't speak this. You know why? Because if I could explain Yiddishkeit and bring out the Bechein, it's a very high level. Relevant. That's what people want to hear. Yeah. If I can get up and show people how Judaism is a path to a better life, a happier life, yeah? I'll tell you, I travel a lot. I give lectures. Well, not now, but generally. Yeah. What are the titles? That people give me? Yeah. What are the titles? How to live a life without anxiety. How to live a life without stress. We have here a few therapists sitting. Why do people come into the office? When they sit down with the therapist, yeah? Yeah. What do they say? They say, oh, my marriage is horrible. I'm unhappy. I'm miserable. I don't get along with my mother. I don't get along with my kids. I lost my job, and I hate myself. I was abused. What are they looking for? They're looking for somebody to soothe the soul, to comfort the soul. They're looking to be able to cultivate midas, relationships with themselves and others that are wholesome, that are nice, that are healthy, that are productive, right? I go around, what do people want? They want me to speak how I can enhance my marriage, how Judaism can be exciting, how I can have a better relationship with my children, how I can be less stressed, how I can be more successful, how I can actualize my potential. And those are beautiful, beautiful words. I speak about this all the time. Many of you know it. But what is this? This is always truth with a bechein. I'm not looking for the truth. I'm looking for how truth makes me a happier person. Awesome, beautiful. And we're going to be there. We want that. We want you to be a very, very happy person. But even the Nefesh Elikis, which is looking for truth, it's excited about truth. The moment it's about my excitement about truth, my ava, my yira, my izgalus liboy, my leiv is on fire. A keli for Elikus, you're not. You're a good guy. But Elikus is oneness. It's Einoid Mulvadai. It's everything. It's infinity. And the very experience of it, in terms of my experience, my orbit, is already a stira. Now, let me tell you something. Most people don't like to hear this. You know why, right? Why do most people not like to hear this? Because if you like to hear this, then you didn't hear what I'm saying. Because if you liked what I'm saying, then you didn't hear what I'm saying. I don't want you to like what I'm saying. I want you to say, Rabbi YY, you're exaggerating. You're speaking about levels, stop. It's not really relevant. Yeah, fight it. We want emotions, we want relationships. I also want emotions. But this is real emotions. This is not emotions, real emotions. I'm going to finish with one story. It's very late. I'm going to finish with one story. A lot of texts came in today. Somebody says, who has achieved this? What human being has achieved this and stayed there? It seems like nobody. If we are going to find a lakus, we can't be present, total bittul. So we may not know we are there. In other words, we can't be present at that time. If we're not touched by Midlist, does that mean we are in touch with the essence? Not necessarily, but I understand what you're saying from, I guess, a particular perspective. I became from emotions. Shlomo Kalbach, Breslov style. The Moichin intellectual approach maybe works for others. Thank you. Thank you for your honesty. Shlomo Kalbach, song, stories, emotion, tugs at my heart, makes me feel good about Judaism. That's what made me from. And I like the Breslov approach. Teach Breslov. I love you. Okay. I'm just reading a lot of comments here. More comments. I'm Hungarian, but I did read Martin Buber. Thank you. Great shiur. Okay. So you're Hungarian and you read Martin Buber. Fine. Tovi Alecha Bracha. Before you ask a question, who achieved this? And can anybody stay there? And what's the use of it? You're asking good questions. But I want you to be teifus. Why the Rebbe, the Baal HaTanya, and the Rebbe Rashab, why they felt so strongly about learning and understanding Chassidus non-stop. And most of the Maamarim don't deal with direct emotions. We learn about Shviras HaKelim, Toyu, Tikkun, Atzilus, Bria, Sfiris, Nefesh, Alikis, Ishtalshlus, Tzimtzum, Pre-Tzimtzum. Yes, I always try to give a bechein in the shiur, to make it a little relevant in marriage and stress and your children and yourself and your avodas Hashem. But why was it so important? People ask me, were you going to learn again about Mamala Kalalman and Seivav Kalalman? Somebody asked me if I get bored saying Mamali and Seivav. Somebody asked me, a close person to me said, don't you get bored? So I told this person, I said, whenever I teach Mamali and Seivav, I actually hope that he says something more about Mamali and Seivav. Every Maamar says something else about Mamali and Seivav. I don't get bored of it because it's the oxygen of existence. It's like you get bored of breathing. You don't get bored. It's the oxygen of it. It's the DNA. You get bored of your genes. But I want to finish with a story. It's late, so I want to finish with a story. The story is a very, very deep story, extremely profound, and it relates very much to this. And I'll explain to you why the Mittler Rebbe disagreed with Rabbi Aaron Halevi of Strashella. He used to say, Lo yachpoitz ksil b'tvunakim b'izgalus libi, and he was a holy Jew. Some of you won't relate to the story, which is also fine. Rabbi Aaron Halevi of Strashella, I told you, became a Rebbe after the Baal HaTanya passed away. He was very charismatic, extremely charismatic. And because he was so charismatic, he had a big following, and he was a very big man. He was a holy, holy Jew. He was not a politician. He was a big man. And there was a big chassid of the Baal HaTanya. His name was Reb Isaac Hummeler. Rabbi Isaac Epstein, he was the Rav of Hummel. He used to finish Shas every year. He was a very, very big gon, big mind. He has Svarim, Chana Ariel, Shnei HaMa'oris, Maamar HaShiflas, Vasimch. He was the Rav of a big city, of a big community. Hummel, Gomel, as the Russians say, Gomel. Rabbi Avram, Hummel is Russia or Ukraine? Russia, yeah? Belarus. Hummel, Gomel, Belarus. Rabbi Yitzchak Isaac Epstein. So he wanted to go see the Rabbi Anas Strashella. So he went. He went Shabbos. Rabbi Anas Strashella said Chassidus. He said a Maamar. He finished, started to sing. Middle of the song, he got inspired, and he jumped up on the table to dance. He was dancing, and it was a sight. And people were very inspired. In middle, something happened. And I'm going to try to explain it. If you understand, you understand. If not, okay. I understand if you don't understand. You know, sometimes you're sitting maybe by a Fabrengen or by a meal, a Shabbos meal, or by an event, and people are singing a song, and they're into it. And then the song finishes, and the inspiration is gone. They're done. They sang it already 2, 3, 4, 5 times. But nobody wants to admit to themselves that they're not inspired anymore. So they do the song once more. But you could sense that this time it's devoid of real emotion. It's like a shell without anything inside. They're singing the song, they're going through the motions, trying to convince themselves that they're still inspired, but really the battery is dead. They're just doing it because nobody wants to admit that 2 minutes ago we were dancing and we thought we touched heaven, and now it's all over. It's gone, it's dead, I'm not interested, I'm ready for my cholent. They're not ready to admit this. So what do? We do the song again, but it's not the same. So Rabbi Isaac saw that Rabbi Adon Alevi of Strashella was on top of the table dancing, and then he finished the song, and he continued dancing. But he saw that when he started the song over again to continue dancing, the inspiration that was there a few moments before was gone. And he just continued the dance, you know. I don't want to say continue the show, but he continued the dance. And Rabbi Isaac looked at him, and he called him by his first name, as he used to do in the earlier days, and he said these words: Adela, Adela, geh arop von Tisch. Adela, Adela, get down from the table. And he ran because the Chassidim of Anas Hashallah didn't like when somebody would call their Rebbe by his first name. But that's the moment he went to the Mittler Rebbe, because he felt that such a thing would never happen by the Mittler Rebbe, the son of the Balatanya. You'll say, what's the big deal? He wanted to be ma'ir of the crowd. Yeah, you're right. Relative to lower levels, it's not such a big deal. But he felt that there was something off about this. That's why in the world of Midlist, the Nefesh HaBahamas has an achiza. Why? Because the world of Midlist takes you away from the bittul and the oneness with emes. It brings a lakus into my metzias. The moment it brings a lakus into my metzias, now my Nefesh HaBahamas woke up. Okay. So now I could go away even from true midas. I can go into false midas. I can fake my inspiration just to impress the crowd. In the world of Meichin, of this achdus, of etzem, you never step away from that truth. You never step away from infinity. Let me read the last questions and we'll call it a day. If I'm not in touch with my midas, does it mean I'm in touch with my essence? You're asking now a very deep question. No, I could not be in touch with my midas because I'm just dead. But it's sometimes an opportunity to touch the etzem. When you're not feeling, you can actually sometimes go into a deeper place. Because you could say, I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for my spouse or for my child. Ask not. When you're not feeling, it's actually an opportunity sometimes to go to a deeper place. The barometer of truth is not your feelings. The barometer of truth is not your barometer of truth. Reb Shalom, verstehst du ein bisschen? Even faking is a good madrega these days, when there's so many of us who have no middas, no moichen, lebedika singing, dancing, happy minyan, chizuk for people, even if it doesn't last so much. Okay, point well taken. Once you are there, it lingers within you forever. That's, you said, very profound. Once you're there, there's no going away. Who achieves this? The Avos, Moshe Rabbeinu, who did Rebbe Rashab. Obviously, I don't think that I told you, I struggle with being an Evet Knaini. Right? But this, like everything in Chassidus, it's not about all or nothing. It's about appreciating the truth of this. And each one of us is impacted by it in one way or another. Obviously, relative to who you are, and knowing all my flaws and the fact that sometimes emotions would be the greatest thing for me. For some of us, myself included, a good, wholesome, inspirational emotion would be wonderful. At the end of the day, even one who gets the truth, even there, isn't there the good feeling of being in touch with the truth? So everything always circles around feeling for us humans at the end of the day. You're right. But if you can understand that, you're already in a much better place. The Rebbe Rashab is not telling you to experience this. At least understand this. And if you understand this, you already have an experience of it. Because what we understand becomes part of us. If you can understand this and really internalize it, you're already in a much deeper place in your life. You're in a much deeper place in your life. You're in a much more authentic place in your life. Most importantly, this is where all transformation happens. Real transformation happens not in the world of Midlist, it happens in the world of Moichen. Not detached Moichen. Moichen which brings me face to face with a truth that is not defined by me. The I is defined by the truth rather than the truth defined by the I. That's the summation. Ask not how the truth can be defined by the I. Ask how I can be redefined by the truth. And the truth is that in truth, I don't even ask that question. In truth, I don't even ask that question. Because if I'm asking that question, I'm already stepping away from the world of Moichen to the world of Midlist. Okay, we'll stop here. I wish you all a beautiful and healthy day. Beautiful, beautiful Shabbos. It's a very special day. The Yom Hilula of the Rebbe Rashab is a very special day with a lot of spiritual energy. The yartzeit of a tzaddik generally has a lot of very spiritual energy. So may it be a day where each of us could glean inspiration, and even more than inspiration, transcendence, to be able to remain fully connected with our truth, with the truth of our loved ones, with the truth of our people, with the truth of the world, especially in chaotic and crazy times. And my love and blessings to all of you. Stay healthy. Have a beautiful day, a beautiful, beautiful Shabbos, inspiring, meaningful, exciting, joyous with your families. And may Chodesh Nissan and Beis Nissan and all the days coming bring Yeshua, Refuah, Bracha, Hatzlacha, Ad Bli Dai to all of you and all of us, b'toich Klal Yisrael, and really to our whole planet. And I wish everybody a wonderful and beautiful Shabbos. And Be'ezer Hashem, this Shia will resume Monday morning, 8 o'clock. And now we're going to learn Gemara. Sunday at 4, we're going to have another children's program on the yeshiva.net. Please share it with your children or grandchildren. And have a beautiful, beautiful Shabbos.
This class is brought to you by the yeshiva.net. Please help us continue the classes. Make even a small contribution at www.theyeshiva.net/donate.